up YouTube? Today's video I'm going to show you guys how to craft the gloves for this build, as I feel like it's a pretty important item to craft, and a lot of people ask me about the upgrade route for this build, and I really believe the gloves make a huge difference. It allows you to drop a lot of points on a tree if you are taking Tribal Fury, and if you can get 2 additional nearby enemies, your clear on the map will be miles better. Now, I haven't really upgraded any gear, but I did finally level up my Awakened Gems to level 5. So you can see here, I'm selling the Awakened Elemental Damage attacks. So they sell for around 3.2 exalts each, and I got them for 2 exalts. So it's like a 1.2x profit. So nothing too crazy. I did do a lot of simulacrums, and the gems are level 4. However, I am trying a new farming method. It is called Nemesis 4. I'm going to include some quick footage at the end to showcase what the map actually looks like, and the map is actually pretty insane. You can get up to 15 delirium rewards, which is just crazy. And most importantly for today, I'm going to show you how to actually sell all of the loot you get from Nemesis currency and simulacrums, because I was able to liquidate most of my stuff. You can see here my fragment tab is completely gone, my breach tab is completely gone, my essence tab is pretty much all gone. My fossil tab is completely gone. Delirium tab more or less gone. Oil tab still a work in progress, but I got rid of most of it. So there's 2 different ways you can do it, and I do think that a lot of people would benefit from it, as doing simulacrums and doing Nemesis currency, one of the worst things you get is you look at your dump tab and it's just full of items, and it's actually just pretty crazy and depressing to look at. So I'm going to try to figure out a way for you guys to fix that problem and turn all of your hard-earned items into currency. Okay, let's go straight into the crafting or my gear. So you can see here, I'm going to teach you guys how to make this pair of gloves. And this pair of gloves and the method behind it is probably also fundamental to one of the best money-making methods that you could possibly have at the beginning of the league. And releasing this method will probably make quite a few people here some money if you apply this principle to your future league starts. So let's take a look at here. So the way you make the gloves is you want to Awaken Orb 2 elevated mods together. So you can see here, this is all of the glove mods. And this site is called Craft of Exile, so you guys should get used to it if you ever want to get used to crafting. So number 1 here is Strikes additional enemies. So you can see here, this is a Hunter mod. And elevated mod is Strike skills target 2 additional nearby enemies. Now, a lot of people ask, why is this important? So normally if you hit with Lightning Strike, you will only hit 1 enemy, so you'll hit once. But if there's another person nearby, you will hit 2 times, so you'll shoot out 2 different Lightning Strikes. And if there's 2 enemies nearby with this enchant, you'll be hitting 3 times, so you'll have 3 Lightning Strikes coming out. So effectively, you'll almost be tripling your damage on clear, and it is extremely noticeable when you have this mod. So this is the one we want. Now the other one we want is +1 Frenzy Charge. Usually +1 Frenzy Charge ends up being one of the highest DPS increases. Now, theoretically, you don't really need +1 Frenzy Charge. Like, this is more of an optional one. Like, you could choose a lot of different things depending, as long as it's not another Hunter influence. So you could technically choose +2 melee strike range. You could choose Culling Strike. You could choose a chance to avoid being stunned. You can even use a completely different influence. Like, say you want to use a Shaper, or you want to do Elder to get guaranteed attack and cast speed, or you want to do Crusader or Redeemer. But for this purpose, for this pair of gloves, the best secondary influence thing that you can guarantee is +1 maximum Frenzy Charge. Now, this is what crafting and PoE pretty much comes down to. You are pretty much able to select 2 different influence mods, and you can Awaken Orb them together as long as they're a different influence, and you're guaranteed these 2 mods. Now, when you Awaken Orb 2 things together, if you Awaken Orb a prefix and suffix together, you have a much higher chance of breaking an item. Because if you Awaken Orb a prefix and suffix together, you can always kind of fix it by doing Reforge, keep prefixes until you get the suffixes you want. However, if you do a prefix and suffix together, a lot of times you end up with something completely awful that you can no longer really remove. So for this item's purposes, we're going to do +1 max frenzy and strike skills, 1 additional nearby enemy. Now, the elevated mod for frenzy is 10% chance that if you gain frenzy charges, you would gain up to the maximum number of frenzy charges. So this actually works pretty well with anomalous blood rage. Now, this is definitely not 100% needed. You could definitely go without the elevated mod. So let's see. So now this is actually the big money maker over here. When you want to look up gloves, you want to look up gloves to Maven Orb. So this is for all of the strikes target #1 additional nearby enemy. So when you Maven Orb an item, it takes away one influence and it elevates the other one. So what this means is that when you want to elevate to get strike skills target 2 additional nearby enemies, you need to have this mod on here. And you need to have one other influence mod, only one other one. You don't want to have 2 influence mods, you want to have one other influence mods besides the strike. So this is how we actually look up the, what's it called, the Maven Orb base. So this is the one we want. So you do and this will always choose this one. And then the next trick is you want to put count 1 of 1 on here. And I will include this in the glove crafting Maven thing. So I'll register this trade called Strike Maven. So these are all of the Warlord mods, both prefixes and suffixes, and it will only have one of them because I limited to maximum 1. So you can search it, so you can see all of these ones that you could possibly do. So these ones are corrupted, so you actually can't Maven Orb them. So you can see here 1.2x. So this is actually a relatively cheap one. Now there's also bonus points or kudos points when you do this to make it almost guaranteed profit. And this is where you make a lot of money at the start of the league, because if you're able to get, say this one, a suffix 1 means that you elevate, you will get an elevated, what's called elevated influence mod. So usually if you get this one, you can get elevated percent dex. So sometimes it might be worth paying a little bit extra to, what's it called, to get the, to be able to have like almost a free roll at the Maven. So you can see here, let's see if we can copy and paste this item in. So this is how we actually test out how to craft. So you can import item, we copied it over here, and you have to Alt Control C. So I'm actually not really sure how you can actually copy this item in here. So this will probably not work. So this is more of a thing that you have to hover over the item in game. So unfortunately, let's just create this item in the shop or whatever you want to call it. So this is a hunter base. So you have strike additional enemy. So let's add on strike additional enemy 1, and the suffix here is plus mana gain for enemy hit by attack. So when you're at this base, let's just say you're here and now you can Maven Orb it. So where's the Maven Orb? So right now it will choose one of the influence mods to remove and it'll take the other one. So this one is kind of a brick. I didn't actually know the elevated mana mod was increased attack speed while not on low mana. So let's Control Z it. So you can see here, this is right exactly where it costs a lot to do this. Now, before this step, you could actually imprint it. So right now, if you have this base and you're lucky enough to have a blue, you can technically imprint it. So if you fail to Awaken Orb and you get something bad, you can restart it. But let's just say we get this here and that we finally got this base. So let's actually export this item, generate export data, so we can copy and paste this. So let's get the other base that we want, which will be, so that base right there did not need to be a spike gloves. It can literally be any other gloves because the base we want to Awaken Orb onto will be a Warlord base with Frenzy. So here we can just say we bought a base with +1 Frenzy that's on a spike gloves. You can also choose to roll it yourself. It's kind of annoying to alt. I think it's a very low chance. So here you would get a Warlord gloves. So you can either buy a spike gloves and use a Warlord Exalt, or you can buy it pre-made or pre-rolled. You can see here it's a 125 weight. Now let's just say you're kind of an ambitious person, right? And you want to Maven Orb it. You could technically also Maven Orb the Frenzy charge here. You can see here that it costs a lot less, but the problem is you need a spike glove base regardless, right? So for this purpose, you will always try to get a spike glove. You'll want a Warlord Exalted. You want to alt until you have +1 Frenzy. So then you can actually do the Awaken Orb, and you need to make sure that +1 Frenzy is the only influence mod on your thing. So now we do the magic where we choose the Awaken Orb, we paste the data of the other glove. So we want Awaken Orb, the strike onto this one, and you can see here, we kind of brick the item. Like this item is just screwed. Now it's not completely bricked if you get this. Now this just means you have to live without life. And it's not really the worst thing in the world if you don't have life. A lot of people in softcore don't really care about getting life on their glove. So if you break it, then this is always a problem with Awaken Orbing. So you better hope that you have maybe the imprint from the strikes to additional nearby enemies. If you don't have the imprint because you didn't choose to imprint it, then you pretty much just have to sell this to someone who doesn't really care about having life and then start over on the project. Now, the nice part about this is I can demonstrate to you real fast is that you can always re-roll while keeping prefixes and fix the suffixes, right? So you can always get better suffixes until you're satisfied with something. And this probably costs around 1x per attempt. Now let's go try this again and see what happens if we get a non-bad one. So this one here, we got Leech's Life. So now this is actually a very costly attempt, and this is remove non-influence to influence that we can use, and we pray that it hits off. I mean, you would have to, actually I wouldn't really do this step, it's just too expensive, so let's just try it again. So now you can see we get armor. So you can see on this step, it's around a 1 out of 4 chance to be able to get an open prefix, and getting an open prefix is usually pretty key. But let's just say you don't get the open prefix and you want to try to fix it, and you don't, and this mod is not influenced. If this mod is not influenced, you can technically do this. You can do bench, you can do prefix, and do suffix. Prefixes cannot be changed. And then you can scour the item. And now you want to buy the harvest craft of remove non-influence to influence. Now this is definitely a pretty big risk. I don't know how much it actually costs, but say here you got it right, this, right? So then you're able to just craft on life, or you can multi-mod it. But what you want to do now, this is pretty lucky because you could definitely end up with a prefix that's influence and waste a lot of money. So I don't really know how much I recommend this method, but it's probably one of the few ways that you can end up getting life. So this is just a completely lucky roll that you end up getting life on it. And this one here is a brick again. So you can see it is pretty rare to end up with an open prefix. So let's just say you finally got an open prefix, and then at this point you pretty much just craft on life, and then you can call it a day for this one. But say like you didn't get good suffixes. If you didn't get good suffixes, you pretty much just craft on life until you get ones you want, and then you do reforge key prefixes. I don't really know how much this one costs right now, but it shouldn't be too much. So you can see here you get a T1 accuracy roll. That's pretty good. If you want it to stay with this, you can just craft on attack speed and then exalt it for life or something, but you could just keep doing it. It costs around a good portion per attempt, but you can definitely fix it until you get something that you want. So you get like T1 lightning res, pretty good. Now you're satisfied with it. You can go on the bench. You can craft on attack speed and YOLO exalted to see what you want to get. So it's here. You can also multi-mod. So this is probably what I would do if I got this pair of gloves. You got cannot, what's it called? Can have 3 modifiers. You multi-mod it, craft on life, and then you would craft on attack speed. And that's pretty much how you get a really good pair of spike gloves. Now, as you can see, this project is very, very, very expensive to do. And that's just the nature of Awaken Orb crafting, purely because a lot of times you won't end up with an open prefix. I think it's around a 1 in 4 chance to get an open prefix. Like right here, this is pretty much just a brick. So what you can choose to do, you can fix the brick by scouring it and doing remove non-influence to influence if there's no influence mod. If there is an influence mod, you pretty much have to accept that the gloves is bricked. You can try to sell it as is to someone who just wants DPS and try again. Or you can just live without having life. So you can see here, this would be pretty bad too. So there's always bad outcomes. It's a dangerous crafting project. It's pretty expensive, but you are able to get something that's really good without spending a lot, or it's just going to be an expensive project. And that's why Awaken Orb double influence items are pretty expensive in the end game. Just because you have the Maven Orb RNG, and then you have the Awakener Orb RNG, and then you have all this other stuff you can do to fix it up. And that's how I ended up spending 50, 60 exalts on my crown. So I do believe that this is one of the easier crafting projects because you don't need elevated frenzy charge, so you only need to worry about elevating the strike skill. But hopefully that gives you a little pretty in-depth summary on how to craft these gloves and how you can pretty much apply this principle to crafting the other pieces of gear. I will try to make a video guide for the other pieces, but for now, just stick to the gloves. And you can also do this with both the boots and the helm. Okay, now after that long-winded crafting discussion, I want to go into something that is very, very crucial for making a lot of money, which I actually just discovered today. So this is the TFT Discord, is the Forbidden Trove Discord. Now I know a lot of people don't like Discord because they feel like the people there have too much power. But all politics aside, it has actually been what I found to be one of the most easiest way to get rid of all of the items that I get from pretty much Nemesis mapping. So every single day, you pretty much dump all your currency in. You have a map tab, you put all the stuff in the essence tab, you have a fossil tab, you have a div card tab, but you don't really get to sell div cards. You have delirium tab, and you have oils, and you have catalysts. So a lot of times you also have scarabs and you have fragments. So the main way that you want to deal with this is that you want to go into this section called bulk, want to buy and scourge softcore bulk. So you can see here, there is a ton of channels in this TFT Discord. So you have to find your way over here. So here you can look for people and they want to buy all sorts of things. Some people want to buy scarabs, want to buy Shaper Guardian, and then some people want to buy your whole tab. So what does this actually mean? So what this means is that this guy I use, he will buy anything listed below, just DM me. So what he does is he pays 80% of the value of all your delirium stash, your scarabs, your delve stash, your fragment stash, your metamorph catalyst stash, your essence stash, your incubator stash. So how do you actually do this? So you need to send him a message using the TFT tool. So the TFT tool is something you have to log in and then you will see this website. So after you log in, you will have this nice looking thing or very complicated looking thing. So say you want to sell your essences, right? A lot of people have a bunch of essences. They don't really want to do a bunch of trades or whatever. Or you want to sell your catalyst. So you sell your catalyst, you choose what type of thing it is. And then here you type in the PoE Ninja price. So this guy over here wants to buy 75% of my metamorph tab. And so you type in 75 and then you choose the currency and then you select it. And you can see here, I have around 3 exalts. So all you do is you generate Discord message and then you message the person right here, Control V, and it'll post some message that you want to sell it for some certain amount and you'll respond. Now this person was super fast. I've also tried a few other people. So I don't know if anyone's seen the Scarab Man, but the Scarab Man is pretty much doing the exact same thing. They buy pretty much your Scarab tab at like 85% of the value. So say I wanted to sell all my Scarabs because I just had a lot of Scarabs and I wanted to get rid of them. And I didn't want to do a bunch of random trades. So here you just do fragment. That's where my Scarab tab is located. And then you do, let's just say most people, you can probably get someone to pay 90% of the value. Select tab. So I have around 19 exalts worth of Scarabs. So that's quite a lot. And I don't really need to do anything to trade it. I generate the Discord message. I find the person on here. You post your message that you have so much so-and-so to sell. And then immediately they will reply to you, most of these people, within minutes or 2 minutes. And then you can sell your entire tab literally within 2 minutes. And if you weren't going to do this, you would have to do a lot of different trades or you would have to find someone to do it. And this is especially useful for like essence tabs. Like if you get 50% of the value of your whole tab, then that's pretty good considering sometimes I never touch the tab until the end of the league. So this means that you probably have a bunch of spare currency left over in your essence tab, your fossil tab, your catalyst tab, or your fragment tab, and it's just free money sitting there waiting for it to be sold. This is especially helpful because I do simulacrum, so I get a bunch of different stuff. I get fragments, I get essences, I get fossils, I get incubators. And with this method, I was actually able to sell the bulk of my stuff, and it was actually really nice. I didn't actually know this channel existed, and the tool actually makes it super easy. You pretty much just choose the tab that your stuff is in. You choose the currency type or what type of thing is in there. Say you have oils or something, the oil, and then someone will pay like 70% of the value. And then you select the tab and you can see here, I have 2.4x worth of oils. Now, not many people buy oils though. So another thing you can do if you want to see who buys something in the tab, you can Control F while you're in here and type in oil. And let's see if anyone buys oils. So you can see not many people buy oils. A lot of people buy blight maps. It's pretty hard for someone to actually buy bulk oils. So it's probably going to be impossible to buy oils. But for everything else like essence, fragments, delirium, catalyst, fossils, and scarabs, you will have an easy time. Now this also means that you're probably not able to sell your maps and oils. So what can you do? So there's one other place here. Kind of a lot of people kind of frown upon it, but I'm actually using someone from my stream to do this, and it's called custom services. And this here is where people will sell anything. So this is a selling and buying service. Now I know a lot of people are afraid that these people might be using bots or something to sell your items, but in the end, you're pretty much just giving them maps to sell, right? So here they'll have like a 30% fee or 20% fee depending on what they're selling. But if you have a bunch of maps like just rotting away in your tab, this is the best way to get rid of them. You can try to find a higher level name like Victoria, who's higher ranked if you are afraid of that. These people will probably take around 20 to 30% cut. But if you just have a bunch of stuff like you want to convert your currency over but you're too lazy, or you have a billion maps and you're too lazy to sell, like say I have like a couple hundred, like even if all these sold at one chaos, I would have an easy 4 to 5x even after they take a 20-30% cut. And this is just a pretty good way. So make sure to join the TFT Discord. There's plenty of traders looking for work. Even if you have the shittiest stuff to sell, they will still sell it for you as long as they take big enough of a cut. And in the end, if you have just money rotting away in your stash, then you could easily reinvest the money that you have for maps or bubblegum currency or random uniques that you have that you never sell. And that money could easily be enough to set you on the right path to making more money with Nemesis currency or something like that. And if you're bulk doing like Nemesis maps or Simulacrum, but you have a bunch of junk you want to sell, then this is also the way to get rid of your stuff. So there's two different options. You can do it yourself with the bulk buying service or selling service, or you can try to find a trader on the TFT Discord. And I highly recommend it. It changes the game completely to do less time trading. This is pretty much an indictment on GGG for how bad the trade system is. But hopefully this helps out everyone. And I know it's helped out myself, and it's made me a lot more motivated to do Simulacrum, knowing that I don't have a bunch of junk that will never get sold.
Someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. Oh. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face. Got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again.
Anyhow, I decided to showcase a little bit of a map with 15 reward layers in in Nemesis 4 currency. It is a new strategy I'm working up. There's also another strategy I'm going to try to showcase in the next coming days with the layer mirror that actually ends up being quite profitable, and it involves doing your old favorite tropical islands, so stay tuned for that. But hopefully this has helped out a lot of people. I know this is probably, in terms of how important and how much it changes your game, probably one of the better videos I put out regarding how to craft with Maven Orb and how to snipe Maven Orbable bases and how you can make your own search for different items. You can also do this for Tailwind Boots. And also finding a trader and using the bulk selling service is a complete life changer. It will clear up your tabs, give you a lot more capital to play with, and allow you to do different money making strategies that you thought you could never afford before. There's a lot more money in your stash tab that you give it credit for. So make sure, if you really want to see how much money you have, you can use Excellence. And that should really detail how much actual value in bubblegum currency could be in your dump tabs. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do, and see you next time. Bye.